potions and supplies, but you need a place to track your stuff, cause you're so disorganized. You click open the web page, you heard about a critical role, and now you're ready to kick some butt in a mine shaft full of no's. It's D&D, D&D Beyond, yeah, D&D, D&D Beyond. You got your stats, you got your swords, and you got your invisible wall. It's D&D, D&D Beyond.
Hello and welcome to And Beyond. I'm Adam Bradford, the product director for D&D Beyond. I'm joined by my co-host.
That's me. I am the creative content director. I am a director. Todd Kenrick.
He does things occasionally.
I do things.
How's it going,
That's the
Todd?
rumor. It's going good. We're talking to one of my favorite people.
Me? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about Holly Conrad.
I'm clearly one of your favorite people, though.
That's true.
Okay, all right. As long as we clarified that.
I've known Holly much longer. We have bled together at PAX.
Yes, and Holly is now showing up. And hello, Holly.
Hello.
Thank
I'm just
you.
like eating my finger before you talk to him. I'm just like, "Rah."
That's okay. I mean, is that like nerves or you just like to eat fingers?
I'm both.
Okay,
Actually.
all right.
That's actually it.
Okay,
Both
that's
equally.
Yeah.
You really should not be nervous because everyone on the internet loves you.
Well, I'm like, but that's my secret. I'm like the Hulk. I'm always nervous.
That's great. That's great. I love this area that you stream in back here.
Yes.
Because it just looks like you.
If you saw the rest of it, I'll like tilt this a
Oh,
little.
here
It's
we
a
go.
mess right now, but like I have like, there's like Strix pictures on the wall and like weird things and a chair and like all kinds of nonsense. And it's like, there we go.
There we go.
And right now I've been doing a lot of merch stuff recently. Oh my gosh, I can't touch anything. And so that's why there's a bunch of stuff on the ground. So I have like pins and like all kinds of stuff just all over the ground. So
Very
ignore
good.
that. And then there's all my occult books. So we might talk about those later.
Ooh, nice.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
looking forward to that. So, Holly, how long have you played Dungeons and Dragons? I don't think I've gotten into that with you before, but how long have you been playing at this point?
So I started playing Dungeons and Dragons my freshman year of high school. But before that, well, actually around that time I had loved RPGs on the PC. So as a kid, I played King's Quest, I played Quest for Glory, I played Return to Krondor, all these games.
Nice.
Oh my god.
And I loved them as a kid. And like this was like middle school I played those games. And then in high school, my freshman year of high school and like the end of middle school, I discovered Baldur's Gate. And so I fell in love with Baldur's Gate, and I played Baldur's Gate 2, and all those, and Icewind Dale, and all those games, all those old BioWare games. And I fell in love with the setting of the Forgotten Realms. And so once I did that, I realized, it's a tabletop game. And so I ended up making friends that also, we were all kind of into the same thing, and we tried to start a D&D club at my high school. And that was when the principal called my friend into their office, and he asked my friend if we were going to be using real blood in the sacrifices.
Did that actually happen?
I mean, I wish. Needless to say, the club was short-lived. But it was still, we had the books. We would just pore over the books. And that's when I kind of fell in love with Planescape too, was when Neverwinter Nights came out and there was like some mention of planar stuff. I was like, oh, what? Like, oh, tieflings are from like in this planar thing. And then I discovered the Planescape books and I fell in love with D. Trilogy's art. And that's when I started collecting those, was like late high school. So
when you came together with that club, because one of the things that we hear all the time, I actually heard this all of last week. We had all the Wizards of the Coast partners together talking fun things, and in speaking with all of them, the question always comes up of who gets started as the dungeon master. So when you got together with these friends in high school, I'm assuming, was there anybody that came in that was like, hey, I've done this before, I'm going to dungeon master? Or did you all just come together and then draw straws or some other method to figure out who was going to DM?
Well, that was the interesting part, is we never got a game together. Like our club never got, we just would read the books and make characters. and like learn the rules. And like none of us ever like stepped up to DM until like I was a junior, I think, or a sophomore. I was a sophomore. And then one of our friends ended up DMing a game for us when I was a sophomore. But when we first started, like we were just like, let's read the books. They're like spell books.
I get that all the time too. That's how when I started. I started with a cartoon. So the cartoon was just amazing. And of course, growing up here in Alabama, in the heart of the Bible Belt, the Satanic Panic was really real.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was an hour from LA and it still was.
Yeah,
and this was
yeah.
even in the 90s, like the early 2000s. It was just like a pocket lost in time.
And the principal asking you if you're going to sacrifice things. That's wonderful. But
yeah, they sent letters to my house about it.
Cool.
Yeah. So times have changed, obviously, but in those early days, it's like, hey, I love this cartoon. This is this incredible, world, and what is this fantasy thing? So I started to get into it, but then after that, I saw the books, and these books were incredible at that point in time. The artwork, first of all, drew me in just immediately because I've done a lot of art throughout my life and just loved everything that I was seeing with the art. And then I started reading it, and I'm like, what is this game is incredible. And I eventually, ironically, a little bit, had a student minister that came in at a church. It was like, hey, I have dungeon mastered. I want to introduce you to this game. So we started playing, and I think that happens for a lot of players, especially back when we were a little younger, that you get into the game from reading or seeing the artwork. And I think that things are starting to change a little bit with this whole streaming phenomenon. And we're shifting from, hey, I'm going to get introduced to this game maybe through a friend or whatever, maybe from reading these incredible books and all this rules, to, hey, I can go watch somebody play this game, and that seems like something I could maybe do. How is that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How is that going? Yeah. You got something, Todd?
No. Yeah, like I was just curious, like, what it is about Planescape that like attracts you so much, like within the art, because that art at the time was like really unique for D&D, especially.
Yeah.
Did that get you into drawing as well?
It did, yeah. I fell in love with Dietrich Lizzie's art just because I don't know what it was, just that sketchy, like almost I found it in like a sort of like Renaissance, like botanical, like illustration kind of book. It was like done in like quill pen, sometime like ink, and just that the way that it looked and the like, I guess the like whimsicalness of his characters really drew me in, but it was like whimsical but creepy, which is like my favorite kind of thing. It's like, hey, here's this super cool building that looks like a cool castle with dragons on it and a stained glass window. And it's a mortuary and it's full of dead people. But don't worry, one of the zombies is a bulletin board outside. And it's like the hive is a horrible place and all these things. But like, there's also goat centaurs. Isn't that charming?
What is it about Sigil that you connect with so much?
I think, where I grew up in San Bernardino is very, very smoggy.
Yeah.
So back in the early 2000s, like we're in an early 90s when I grew up there, the air quality was so bad that all of the smog from Los Angeles would blow into where I grew up in the desert. And it looks like another planet. Like it looks like another dimension. It's disgusting. It's brown. And the air quality was so bad that they wouldn't let us go outside in middle school. They wouldn't let us go do PE. We had to sit inside and watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang like 50 times because the weather was so bad. So they'd be like, okay, you got to go in and like watch this movie again because literally you can't walk around outside because of the smog. So the sky was orange brown. And it would cover the mountains and everything would have this orange brown look about it. And I always felt like I was from Sigil. I always felt like I was from this weird, disgusting apocalypse like world. And I just related to it in this like weird sense because of that. I know it's weird, and of course like Dietrich Lizzie's art, I love that too. But I always like felt this kinship towards, and I went to LA as a kid. I grew up in LA and in San Bernardino because it's super next to each other. Yeah. And so I spent most of my childhood and my everything about growing up in these places in the desert and in the city. And so it just,
I mean,
It's
that's
gross.
pretty much Seattle right now, right, Todd?
Right, yeah.
I mean,
Seattle
like-
has a blood red sun right now. So
And all the smoke that's happening. Yeah, it was really eerie and creepy. And what did you say at the beginning of that, though? You said whimsical
Musical and creepy.
creepy. Yeah, okay. So that pretty much describes Strix, like
Yeah.
in a nutshell, right? So
Yeah.
So how has that? What episode are you guys on? It's 100 and what at this point in time?
I think 106?
Yeah,
105?
a lot of episodes. And I also want to encourage people, there is a wiki out there on Gamepedia. So hopefully we can get
There
some
is.
links out there in chat. But I was looking through the wiki earlier, and there is so much history and so much backstory that's going on with Strix. And we have this wonderful wiki entry for her now. So I really encourage people to go and check this out. But what has that been like playing? Because, a lot of times people play these campaigns and they go on for, 3-4 sessions. Something happens. You're not able to finish that campaign. What's that been like being in this long-term campaign?
I love it. Again, all of my campaigns and all my games growing up were never, this is the longest game I've ever been in. And for most of us, it's hard to have a long game. It's hard to get a game that is consistently at the same time, all the time, and everyone shows up. And I think that's, we're doing a show. So I think it makes for a better show that we are so consistent, because obviously people can keep up with it. And it's like a weekly ritual kind of thing. But for me, I love it. Chris is such a good DM, and I love being a part of such an amazing community that does fan art and does stories and does all this stuff. So it's your game ends on my game ends on a Tuesday, and I can just go look up fan art and stories. It's I just keep getting stuff about my game. I'm like, that's great.
And you've had, but Strix existed for you long before Dice Camera Action. She was always your main.
I had always played a tiefling sorcerer ever since high school. So I'd always played it. And it was even, I think, or even in college, I played one. And I remember the DM I had in college going, "You want to be a tiefling sorcerer? They get a -2 to charisma." And I was like, "Well, I do. Too bad." Because I think it was 3.5. They
How
got a
times
-2
have
charisma.
changed. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, well, that's what I want to be. So I'm sorry. And then they got a +2, and I was like, suck it. I was like, suck it, college DM. But yeah, so I've always played that race and class, different names, different iterations, but Strix is kind of like the diluted version of all of them, and with a little bit of influence from Chris as well, because when I was making Strix, I gave him freedom pretty much for her backstory. I gave him an idea. I knew she wanted. I know I wanted to be from Sigil, but he suggested having her have some kind of tie to Baba Yaga, and I was like, oh yeah, that's rad. And then he kind of influenced the whole witch side of her, even though I love magic and witches and wizards and medieval history and stuff. So I was like, that's perfect. So it was kind of he added his own little bit of flair to that by suggesting that part, which I thought was perfect.
So yeah, that was one of my other questions is, since you have been in such a long-term campaign, how has your vision for who Strix is changed from episode 1 to 105 or 6 or whatever we're on at this point?
Yeah, I mean, well, just like us as human beings, we evolve as people, and characters evolve as people too. And whilst I feel like Strix, it's funny because she had a big change recently by getting rid of her Skizix name during the C-Team crossover. So, and Chris actually described it as almost like a weight being lifted from her shoulders. So she might have had less anxiety. So that's a huge thing that she's dealing with right now. While she's still the same character, pretty much the same person, she has a little bit less fear. She moved into her own room. She's not trying to sacrifice herself all the time because she's learned that if you die, you can't help your friends. So it's kind of like she's coming to some of these bigger realizations while still being the same person. But it's just as we grow as people and as we grow as characters, we learn things. And sometimes we make a deal with Asmodeus about it and get your evil name taken away.
as one does.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
That's going to come back to bite me in the ass. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, Chris has certainly had an influence, but the players themselves have had an influence on you as well. I imagine Strix coupled with Prosser's character Evelyn has definitely kind of changed her perspective over time.
Oh, absolutely. And she, in fact, in the beginning, if you watch the beginning, Strix used to call Lathander butt-hander all the time. And in fact, you'll notice it's like butt-hander, and like she jokes about it, but she doesn't do that anymore.
Right.
She consciously is like, these are things that I take notes and think about, is that she's consciously thought about that she doesn't want to insult Evelyn's god anymore because it's something that Evelyn needs and something that Evelyn loves. And
Right.
she loves Evelyn. She's practically her sister, and she would never ever want her to be hurt. So she's kind of like almost gained a little bit of faith in Lathander for Evelyn, not for herself. She just thinks they're barmy powers, but like for Evelyn, yeah.
I mean, is there anything else like Dungeons and Dragons though? Because I'm trying to think, as you were talking about that, I have never had a gaming experience in video games or obviously board gaming or anything else like that where you could actually say the things that you just said, that you can connect with this character that can evolve in that way over time. It truly is something. Do you think that has helped you on a personal level? Working through some of this through the characters in Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think it's because, I put a lot of myself into Strix. And I think like just like anything else, I feel like D&D is almost a kind of sense of therapy in a way, because you realize a lot about yourself and a lot about, who you are and, your needs and wants in a game like D&D, because you have no inhibitions. Like you don't have to stop doing something. Your character does it because they want to. So I think you learn a lot about yourself. And especially when you have like a DM like Chris, who's so empathic about what his players are going through and what his characters are going through. Mm-hmm. I feel like he knows everything about us before it happens. And so that's frightening and also great. So
yeah, that's the hallmark of a great dungeon master, like putting your players first.
Right.
That's the story. It's a story of these heroes. It's not the story of the dungeon master.
No, exactly. Exactly. The dungeon master. It's not this. Yeah, it's not the story of the dungeon master.
Yeah, and you learn things about yourself, and I think you also learn so much about working with others. Through Dungeons and Dragons, and I think that especially, of course, with the job that I'm currently in, we're always looking for applicants to come in that are playing D&D. So that's a no-brainer. But even previously, when the job had nothing to do with D&D, it's like it was always a little bit of a boon of like, oh, you play Dungeons and Dragons, like you probably know how to cooperate with a group of people.
Right. Like
that's the hope, right?
It almost should be like required at Curse now. I'm not trying to like change HR's mind, but like you should play in a D&D group and like you'll figure out if you're going to be compatible right away.
I would say not even Curse, like all jobs out there. It's like,
companies
hey, let's see if these people play Dungeons and Dragons, because it probably means that, they are hopefully creative in some way, but then also they are being forced to figure out a way to work with others and to be able to play with others. So yeah, it's a great experience for all of those reasons. I have a little bit of exciting news here though, Holly. Like I want to move into this a little bit. Do you want to share, or do you want me to blurt this out, or do you want to share?
No, you go ahead and you do it first, and then I can.
All right. So we have an upcoming. We don't quite have a date yet. We're working on dates here, but we have an upcoming exciting opportunity and an announcement here today. But as the Dice Camera Action season is shifting into Waterdeep here, Strix is going to be establishing a coven within the city of Waterdeep. And what's the name, Holly, to make sure I get it right?
I've teased it a few times in game, but it is the Chickenfoot Coven.
The Chickenfoot Coven.
Mm-hmm. She's mentioned it a couple times.
Yes. So we are going to be able to have a contest for you to apply to become part of the Chickenfoot Coven. And the way we're going to do this, and again, this is going to happen in September, so keep your eyes peeled. But in September, we are going to have it to where you can create a character on D&D Beyond. You can share that character and share the backstory, the more idiosyncratic and interesting, the better. But you're going to be able to share that backstory for those characters. We're going to whittle the list down from thousands, probably, of applicants down to 20 or so. And then we are going to have Strix herself, Holly, is going to look through and choose 3 winners. And so those winners of the contest are going to actually get to guest star on Dice Camera Action in an episode where I'm pretty sure Strix is going to have to like put them through their paces, right?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows what's going to
It's
happen?
gonna be like which boot
Paces. Well, and that's the funny thing is they don't necessarily have to be witches. Like it can be anything. It's just this is up to you.
We really encourage barbarian characters, monks, whoever wants to join the
I
coven.
love which barbarian. Oh my god.
Baking is a bonus. They will be getting a uniform of a black robe and witch hat.
Very good.
But, you know.
Oh, dude, just like a huge guy with using a broom as his weapon.
I cut the
Yeah.
sleeves off. Yeah.
I cut the sleeves off his
Yep.
witch outfit.
That'll be
So, yeah,
perfect.
just imagine like an orc barbarian with like the sleeves cut off, like with like holding a tiny broom.
So
I'm going to actually apply.
I'm going to quit Curse just for September.
Yeah, where you can be
So I
eligible.
can be in this competition.
Yeah. So definitely keep your eyes out for that because we are going to have that contest happening. It is a chance to get to play in a game that's DM'd by Chris Perkins. You get to play with Holly Conrad. And I'm not exactly sure the episode itself, like with the 3 guest stars, I'm not sure who else in the team's going to be there. We're going to have to.
I don't know how we're gonna do this.
Yeah, we're going to have to see the details a little
Yeah.
bit. But you have a chance to be
and
there.
then figure it out later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be done in typical suboptimal Waffle Crew style. So who knows what's gonna happen?
It's going to be a lot of fun. So we actually have a logo, though, that you created
Yes, this
for
is
the Chickenfoot Coven.
the Chickenfoot Coven logo and my new Hag's Eye logo mixed together. So this is for the Chickenfoot Coven, so you can actually see it, and that
Outstanding.
will be outside the Waffle House.
Oh, we're showing it right now? Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yes, we are showing it. The magic is happening. The logo magically
and that's by
appears.
my friend Kayla. The art was done by my friend Kayla Klein. She's amazing. I love her. And
Yeah.
Your art is amazing, by the way. You have shared a lot of your artwork with the community, and it does remind me exactly of that first Planescape.
right. Well, and
Book.
that's like that's a lot of my artistic influence was Dietra Lizzie, and then my friend Kayla, who I commissioned to do all the birdcage art and all my branding art like this.
Yeah.
She's also really influenced by him, so it's like a perfect art match.
Todd, let's
Even-
go ahead and
Oh, yeah.
make this official. Like we've got to get some artwork from her.
Yeah,
going
yeah.
Somehow. So
Yeah,
we'll,
yeah.
we'll be talking to you. We really
Kayla, because they're
it's
going to talk to
outstanding.
you.
Yeah.
Well, we'd like some art from you, Holly. It'd be amazing if maybe we had like character portraits or something done by you.
Oh, I see. No, get Kayla to do it. I don't like drawing people. If you want like a dragon, like I can draw you like a monster or dragon. Like
Just
but
do
my
the
people,
Dragonborn.
yeah, my people look messed up. So like Kayla is so much better. Like please,
Ooh, have you ever drawn armor?
armor. I could.
Yeah, okay.
She
I-
didn't
maybe I
seem
just don't
incredibly
have faith in
passionate about it.
I have faith in you.
Yeah, I like mixed media art where I can throw coffee grounds on it and then make it just look like it got dirty all of a sudden.
Very nice.
That sounds like my life growing up.
Wow. Let's dig into that at
Let's
some point.
dig into that.
Yeah.
No, like Holly and I both have a deep admiration for trashy characters who travel the planes. So
Yes.
I'm always excited to see new artwork from you.
Oh, thank you. I know I do want to do more. I love doing my artwork, and it's just something that I need to be in the right space for because I just do it for fun. So
Yeah, and that can be a mistake.
yeah.
It's like cathartic for you to do it for like a living or try to make money off of it. That
Yeah,
can
I
be-
realized a long time ago. It's funny because when I was a kid, like I went through so many different ideas of like what jobs I wanted as a kid. I was like, I want to be an ornithologist. I want to be a medieval history person because I got the degree or whatever. And then I want to do all this. And then like I ended up, falling into this stuff. But I realized I do not have the discipline to be any sort of like concept artist or anything like that, because like I can't sit there and draw like 1,000 elbows, and
No,
some people can.
Then be critiqued on those elbows.
Critiqued on those elbows. I'm like, ugh. So Godspeed to you artists who can draw 1,000 elbows.
You mentioned some medieval history there. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But you also mentioned Trapped in a Birdcage. And I think you guys did you just wrap up the current season?
No, we still have a few episodes left, and I should probably count how many.
Since you're the dungeon master, right?
Yes,
Probably...
yeah. And it's funny because like when I first started Trapped in the Birdcage, I was like, I'm going to, plan everything. I'm going to make it super, I did that whole DM thing where you're getting a new group and you've got to plan everything super meticulous because you don't know what they're going to be like. And you're just like ready to go. You have a million notes. And then I realized that they're just like chaos disaster people. And I was like, well, screw this. And so we just kind of like every week I have like, I do what Chris always says to make a one sheet with the NPCs and everything and where the plot points are. And I'm just like, let's go. Like,
yeah.
So I've learned a lot as a DM with my lovely group of
who's your favorite character? I mean, I'm sure none of them are watching right now. So who's your favorite character?
You can't say that.
No,
I'm joking.
I can't.
Don't answer that.
I can't. They're all so honestly, like they're all so good, and I love them all dearly. So and a lot of them were new. Like Jimmy and Hadil were brand new to D&D when we started, and so they're totally into it, and I love that.
Are we going to get another season?
I think we're in the middle of season 2 right now. Okay. They haven't told me about season 3, but we shall see.
Okay. Outstanding. All right. Medieval, I think, make sure we got to have time.
I know. Paco's just tooting away in the other room.
Is that the bird's name?
Paco, yes.
Paco
and Honey Bun.
Yeah, by the way, like, I've never talked to you about this. You have a deep affection for birds.
Yes.
And pigeons in particular.
Yes. I have 50 pigeons.
Why do you have that?
Adam's face.
I was not expecting that number.
Yeah, I have 50 pigeons. I have 2 cockatiels. And I used to rescue birds in high school and in college. And when I finally had to permanently, move to LA, I was like, well, what birds can I rescue? And I was like, I'll just take care of pigeons, I guess. And then like, it just so happened that I ended up obtaining lots of injured pigeons. And needless to say, there isn't a lack of pigeons. So
Where do the pigeons stay? They're not in your apartment.
They're right here. No, I was kidding.
Yeah. It's like, I want to see them.
No, I have a pigeon loft outside. An empty
fridge.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in a house and I have a pigeon loft outside.
Okay.
Yeah, out in the backyard.
So do these pigeons just come to you, or do you
rescue them? I started rescuing them because I have a friend who works for the one of the wildlife centers here. And so she knows how to deal with the animals. She also rescues pigeons on her own, all this stuff. So if she would get too many pigeons, I would help her and take in a few. And then that turned into 50.
Yeah. Now, do you have like a maximum capacity?
We're at that. We're at maximum pigeon currently, but I think eventually my goal with the pigeon rescue is to actually set up a pigeon rescue charity and then actually adopt them out. So that's my plan. That is my ultimate plan.
Would a pigeon make a pet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I have one pigeon who's my house pigeon. His name is First Officer Feathers. And he'll wear little pigeon pants and he has a leash and he'll just wander around and he just hangs out with me.
I'm so fascinated by this pants thing. I
can go get him if you want to see.
I mean, how long would that take? Because
I don't know, 2 minutes. I can go get him.
It's worth it.
I want to see the pants, actually, to be honest.
So. He won't have the pants on, but he can hang out if you want to see him.
That's totally fine. I want to see an actual pigeon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
So Todd and I will talk.
Does Alabama have no pigeons?
Alabama has pigeons, but we don't have them in houses.
Okay, I'll go get him.
Nobody has them in their house. All right, so how's it going, chat? Everybody doing okay here?
Yeah, good time to check.
We could have prepared for that better, but at the end of the day, I didn't realize she was going to say any of those things. So
no.
I mean, we're just going to go with it.
We're instruments of chaos.
All right. Anybody got a question for Holly? We'll ask one question. If you want to throw something in chat there, we'll find it for when she comes back. It needs to be about pigeons though, because otherwise we're not going to ask it. We'll see. No, actually, if you have a real question, that's fine too. So let's see what else we have.
What do we have?
Nothing yet.
Nothing.
I mean,
no questions about pigeons.
Yeah. Somebody said they want to adopt.
Cute.
A
Hold
pigeon.
on, he's pretty grumpy right now. Come
Wait.
here, grumpy boy.
I don't even. Oh my goodness.
Here he is.
That is.
Hello.
She is
This
kissing
is-
the pigeon.
This is First Officer Feathers. He's mad because he wanted to go back to his nest.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of like what my
Hey,
youngest
hi,
son
Feathers.
does sometimes. When you act like you're going to kiss him, he like his neck goes up and down like that.
I'm gonna hold him. I'm gonna hold him in my lap here.
That is
That was
amazing.
my favorite thing going
He's
to the
real
Oregon
mad.
Coast.
Is he black?
and feeding
mad.
pigeons. No.
Oh,
He just pieced out.
He wants to go to his nest. He wants to go to his nest. Hold
So
on.
he has a
Feathers.
nest in there?
Yeah, a fake nest. He has like a little fake egg.
Oh my god, that was the best thing ever.
Okay. All right. So I'm absolutely going to be.
I know you're mad.
All right. So we got a question from
He
chat.
just-
Well, oh,
yeah,
she
he
can't
has a
hear
little
me.
fake
She's got to have.
nest.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we got a question from chat while you were gone.
Okay.
And we told them we would ask one question. And
Okay.
that question is, what is a unique quality about pigeons that people probably don't know about?
There's actually quite a few.
Oh.
So pigeons themselves, they do mate for life. So they will mate. They will choose to mate for life, and they also are incredibly smart. They can recognize their own reflection. They can recognize it, and maybe Feather's not. He's a little mean.
Do they stop before they slam into the window like we have happen
No,
at our
they do.
office?
They do hit windows, yeah, but that's
Yeah.
just because of vision. Like
Yeah.
they think it's the sky. And how I keep my pigeons from laying eggs, because they're on the big pigeon loft, is I take their eggs out, the real eggs, and I replace them with fake eggs. So they all sit on little fake wooden eggs, so that they don't make babies.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's Feathers again, and he's so angry.
Angry. Yeah, what I haven't told Megan yet is it's been my dream to own several bat houses.
Oh my God! Yes, I
Wow.
love bat houses.
Yeah, and to have like lots of bats
Yeah,
around the house.
I can see why you would delay that conversation with your
Yeah,
wife.
well, no, I'm sure she would love it actually. But I am.
Ah, yes.
I
The
love
rage. The rage begins. The rage.
Oh, look at
Oh, he's so angry.
This is the pigeon
Does that
rage.
hurt you at all?
No, it's just this is
Seagulls hurt, but pigeons don't.
no. He's look at him. He's like, he's mad at me.
So
Yeah.
what do pigeons eat? Like,
They just eat a mixture of seeds. A lot of larger seeds like peas and like I think like lentils and just like other things like that. So any kind of seed.
Yeah, French
special
fries
pigeon
if you're on the
mix.
coast.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I have a
Holly-
special pigeon mix for him. So they have their own special pigeon mix.
there have to be pictures of him in pants, correct? Like somewhere.
There should be somewhere. So they're just like a little diaper. It gives him like a little outfit that he wears, and he has a little leash too.
So
Oh my
um,
god.
I really need to see that. So I'll be.
I actually
Googling
believe.
it.
Get this, Adam. I just bought him a new pair of pigeon pants,
Ooh, new
and
pants.
they have D&D dice on them.
No way.
And yes, they have D&D dice on them and a little leash with a little green flame leash that I'm going to take with him to a special event in San Francisco for a pigeon rescue charity. So we're going to drive up there and have his little D&D pigeon pants.
So where does the pigeon sit in the car? Is he like in a little seatbelt, or is he in like a crate, or what is
No,
he in?
he has a little carrying case, just like a regular like cat carrying case. I'll just put him in there and just put a little blanket and water and stuff.
Wow.
No.
So
I
there will be
can't- I
photos
can't
of the
with
D&D
pigeon
pants, right?
seatbelt. I can't do that.
Little pigeon seatbelt. I'm gonna smooch him again.
Well, this is incredible, and this has taken a wonderful,
there he
wonderful
goes
turn.
again.
This has made my entire
There he
day.
goes
Holly.
again.
Yeah.
Holly,
There he
this
goes.
is all I want.
So
So
Feathers is also a monster. He's probably the meanest pigeon I have. He's angry all the time and just likes to bite me. So
is he the only one that gets to stay in the house?
yes, because he thinks I'm his lady pigeon.
Does that hurt any
Yeah.
of the rest of their feelings?
No, they're all perfectly happy out there. They have their own little houses and they're I put plants out there for them and they destroy my succulents and they just have a great old time.
That's amazing.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Feathers.
All right, I think
You've
we
been so
have to
good.
transition, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Todd.
we got to start
Yeah.
talking about
Like,
medieval
yeah.
history and
Can I put Feathers back home so
Yes,
he doesn't
please do.
maul me?
Please do.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone say bye to Feathers. Say goodbye.
Bye, Feathers.
Wow.
All right, here, you can be free.
I thought for a moment he was just going to drop to the ground. It's kind of like I do with my dog when I'm trying to get in the water. I'm like, and then it just like, it does not jump. It does not look epic I think it's going to. Well,
Oh my God.
that was kind of incredible. I'm going to go on record and say that. So I'm very glad that we got
I like this show. I like this show where we can bake and also find and talk about pigeons.
Yeah, and we have pigeons that live in people's houses. This is like such a new concept to me. This is amazing. I love
That was
it.
actually very good for Feathers. He did a very good job. He's getting better at public appearances for the event coming up called Coachella in San Francisco.
God,
Nice.
that's amazing.
That's going to be incredible.
Yes.
So Holly, what you said
let's talk about
earlier?
spells.
Yeah, well, you said you have a degree.
Yes.
Is it just
so
history or specifically medieval history?
Specifically medieval history.
All right, let's talk about that a little bit, and then let us know what you want to teach us today.
So I went to the University of Edinburgh, Scotland, as well as the University of California, Santa Barbara, so UCSB, and that's where I got my degree in medieval studies. So I also studied abroad for a year at the University of Edinburgh, studying medieval history while I lived there. That's what I did. I studied a lot of folk magic, a lot of courtly literature. My professors would speak in Middle English, which was rad because it sounds like Elvish.
Oh, that's awesome.
They actually spoke in it. It wasn't just
They would read the documents in Middle English so we could hear what it sounded like. Wow. Which was so cool. And Middle English is a different, totally different language than Old English. Old English is a totally different language. We can barely understand it, even looking at it. Middle English, we as modern humans can actually read it, like mostly, but it's still very difficult, but it's still possible.
Mm-hmm.
But,
so would Middle English be like Chaucer and what you see?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
In fact, Chaucer was one of the ones that my professor would read in Middle English.
See, I know things. Like I know about Chaucer. All right. So what do you want to teach us today?
Yeah. So a lot of things about the Middle Ages that are misunderstood is that was called the Dark Ages. And that's not even necessarily true. There are actually a lot of inventions and important things that came about during the Middle Ages that the Renaissance actually pedaled back on, which is, everyone just likes the Renaissance better, but we can get to that later.
Like the plow?
Yeah. But some of my favorite things about the Middle Ages were folk magic, again, which is because most people weren't literate. Most people, even though, again, you think, the church did everything in the Middle Ages. Well, you would have one church, and you'd have one priest who can read. Everyone else is just whatever. And so they would make up, spells and make up things like that. And a lot of the necromancy, actual necromancy texts were written by priests. So almost all of the demonology and necromancy was done by the clergy, which I just find hilarious. So this is one of my favorites. This is called Forbidden Rites. It's a necromancer's manual of the 15th century. It's a German, written in Latin, necromancy manual by a priest. And these are real magic symbols in here.
Oh, wow.
For drawing on things and casting spells. And this thing is brutal. There is like some dark, brutal stuff in here. But look at this. This is real. It's so cool.
Oh, my God.
Look at it. It's amazing.
So what would they actually... So are those kind of like just runes that they would write or carve?
Yeah, exactly. Or things that represent certain demons or things that represent certain days or things like that. So like, for example, some of these, there's tables in this manuscript of spirits. And it'll say like their name, like let's say this name of the spirit is Odious. And the appearance is human with large teeth and 3 horns with a sharp sword in hand. And says responds about if you summon him. This is all literally from the 1400s, by the way. If you summon him.
And this wasn't like ironic.
No, not at all. This guy was in his basement, like could have been playing D&D. Instead was actually summoning.
Yeah. I don't know a lot of ironic priests in the 14th century.
No, but like so this like explains what this creature, what this spirit looks like, and then it goes into what it does. So like this one, let's see. This one's called Oh yeah, this one's creepy. Volok is a boy with wings of angel, rides on a dragon and has 2 heads, and responds about, if you summon him, responds about hidden treasures, serpents appear, gives over serpents into the hands of exorcists. Like, this is crazy stuff like this.
I mean, so wait a minute though. You're telling me that there's this angel
that's just
boy.
like Amazon Prime Now for serpents, though.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, you've got this little angel boy with 2 heads that is riding a dragon, and
I don't know if the dragon has 2 heads or the boy. I mean, maybe if you do it wrong, you summon both. Who knows?
Maybe. But so, and apparently he's armed though. It sounded like he was armed. And when he comes there, you just ask him to help you find something, and not like to destroy your enemies or something. That's what's surprising to me.
I guess. Well, so that's necromancy. Now, another thing that I absolutely love about medieval history is there are these things called pilgrimages, where people would go and walk extreme distances to go see reliquaries of saints, which were usually body parts encased in gold, which is amazing. And even when they had wars, they would bring these body parts out to the battlefield so they could watch. How fun. Yeah. But a lot of the interesting things is on these pilgrimages, there were a lot of amulets and trinkets and things given to people, and folk magic became really rampant because of the travel that people were doing. So I have a whole book here on and one of the most common ones was a piece of the true cross. There's probably like enough pieces of the true cross to like make a bridge. Definitely was not a piece of the true cross. But I have a whole book on medieval and earlier amulets. And this is amazing because it actually gives you the source for where it came from and what it does. So, like, for example, here's one that says, the heart of a vulture wrapped in its own skin sends demons, brigands, and wild beasts fleeing.
I mean, yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Probably because of the smell, right?
It clears the theater, too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And there's other things that are like plants, like mandrake wrapped in clean linen and placed around the neck of children will protect them from evil spells.
I knew that one. That's
Yeah. To heal a lunatic, it is necessary at the waning of the moon, when Taurus or Scorpio is in its first decan, to wrap a buttercup in clean linen and hang it around the afflicted individual's neck.
Wow. So when they did that, and do you think that they observed enough of a change that this was a believed remedy, or how do you think that played out? Like, what does the history actually tell us about how people believed in this stuff?
So it has to do a lot with the fact that there was not a lot of literacy. So traditions that were passed down by, medicine, like people that knew medicine or people that knew remedies, would usually be the go-to versus like anything that would be written down. So that's where a lot of this comes from. Some of it actually does have basis. Like a lot of the plants that they use to like ward away like bacteria and things like that do actually, some of them do have properties that work like that. But in most cases, it's just, this was a society where they didn't have solutions to problems. So their solutions were creating these almost like placebo folk magic effects that would cause people to feel a certain way. And, who knows? It could have helped. It totally could have helped.
Do you think we do that today?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. There's absolutely. I mean, it's our brains are incredibly powerful. So if we feel better, like maybe feel like more calm, like, oh shit, Middle Ages and my arms got gangrene. Uh-oh. Like, here, wrap a vulture skin around it and you'll be cured. Oh, okay. So, and if they don't know the difference and if they get told that, then it's, maybe they'll heal and they'll be like, it worked. And then if they die, they're like, nah, vulture skin wasn't good enough. Got to get a better one next time.
Wow.
Yeah. You can always blame IT if your idea didn't work out.
Exactly. Or then they blame the like medicine woman and they're like, she's a witch. And then they burn her because, so.
Which happened most of the time.
Yeah.
So you also said courtly, what did you say? Courtly literature?
Courtly literature. So that's kind of an interesting topic because it has to do with literature in the middle, people that were literate, which again would have been priests and the extremely wealthy. And the extremely wealthy had a lot of stories and courtly stories, which would have to do with their gatherings. So one of the ones that I studied was Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which is super brutal and awesome and about a Green Knight. And he's pretty much just like a monster green man thing, and it's rad.
Wow. Do you have any samples of the Middle English?
I can't read it. Like, I would do a terrible job.
I tried.
The only class I ever failed was Latin. So, by the way, it's dead for a reason. And I'm terrible reading Middle English. I can show you some on the screen. Like,
let's see it. Let's see.
Yeah,
it.
I can show you because I have all my books.
I remember some lines from from Event Horizon. That's about all I have left.
I can't believe you made it through that movie, man. Like, I'm telling you, Event Horizon was like a rite of passage.
I was actually studying Latin at the time, by the way, so I knew things were going to go bad very early. I mean, like you didn't know it was going to go bad, but I remember hearing the captain's log, and I'm like, no.
Terrible. But again, it was a pivotal moment in my life. I was in the theater with like 2 other guys, and that's all that was in the theater, and all that surround sound was happening. And it was like a transcendental experience.
Liberate me.
This one's a little bit later. Hold on. I'm just going through my books.
All right.
It's so creepy, I'm not going to finish the sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. It's terrible. Yeah, people in chat, I think, are picking
I had a friend of mine who's a writer borrow a bunch of my really good ones for a show he's working on. I was like, you need magic? I got magic for you.
I was like on a 24-hour fundraiser, and I learned Latin because I had like about 20 coffees. And I had a beginner's Latin book, and like I did just a deep dive into that.
Nice. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. But yeah, here's the Canterbury Tales. And it's just very like, this has a translation underneath each of the sentences, so it's a little bit easier to understand. But I'm gonna see if I can show you.
Hey, Holly, we got a question from chat. That second book that you were going through. What was the title
Talisman one?
Yeah.
The Talisman one is called The High Magic of Talismans and Amulets.
High Magic.
The High Magic of Talismans and Amulets.
What's the difference between a talisman and an amulet for the folks at home? Do you know?
I haven't finished the book yet, so I don't know.
Maybe somebody.
I always felt like amulets were always made out of metal and jewels and stuff like that, and a talisman could be any kind of thing that was in a leather pouch.
Yeah, it could be like a little container. I know. I actually think I got to that point. I just forgot because my brain is dumb. Oh, here we go. So here's some Middle English here. It says, "For him there weppeth both that which, like you would say the e, child and man." And so that would mean for him there wept both child and man. So great a weeping was their noon certain. Says, so great a weeping was there not certainly. When Hector was brought, I'll fresh slain. When Hector was brought, newly slain. To Troy, alas, the pity that was there. To Troy, alas, the pathos that was there. Cratching of cheeks, rendering ache of hair, which is scratching of cheeks and rending of hair. So
is that where Pig Latin came from? Because that's what that sounded like to me.
I mean, kind of. It does sound like a messed up version of English. I mean, which it is. It's the earlier version of it. So
well, we're the messed up version.
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, we're the messed. Yeah.
Okay, Adam. Next time I'm ever in a live stream, I'm just exclusively talking that way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's not going to get irritating.
No one's going to get bothered, and I'm going to be a bard.
Okay. Wonderful. Looking forward.
It is really fun though if you get the Canterbury Tales or something in Middle English that has the English translation, you can kind of learn to read it. I just do a terrible job.
So Holly, even those necromancy spells, how did they actually cast them, or is that something that did they even talk about it in terms of that? Like how was a spell initiated or executed or cast?
So these sorts of things especially are almost all like they sort of gather their power for these spells by using religious scripture because they're written by priests. So it's sort of like they will like invoke angels and things to then bind a demon in a circle. They will talk about, drawing the symbols on the floor and doing this and summoning this demon and, be careful. He might attack you. And I'm just like, someone's got to be on something, like, 'cause it's very graphic. So it's very much so like we in modern pop culture. Like a lot of the stuff that they talk about in these books is very similar. Even this one, I have another one. This one's an Icelandic book of magic called the Galdra book, and this one also has a bunch of symbols and things like that. But for this one, to cast a spell, for example, a lot of them are carved into places. So like this one, this is a very famous Icelandic symbol. This one, I think it's the Vegasvir or something. This one.
Mm-hmm.
And if this sign is carried, one will never lose one's way in storms or bad weather, even when the way is not known. And so it's kind of like it says it's to carry this symbol with you. So that would be something, a way that spell is like activated.
Wow. I wonder if an attunement was involved.
It's like attunement. Yeah, exactly. So, but all of that stuff, all of that came from history. So whoever, was coming up with all those things and writing it had done a lot of research on these sorts of things before it was written. Someone did, whether it was from Tolkien did it or someone else,
Yeah, like I remember a lot of Welsh and Irish mythology was very obsessed with knowing a creature's name and using names, and that's like Lord of the Rings obviously borrows heavily from that later on. Just knowing the name of someone powerful invokes something, and all the Welsh wizards sung, which is what bards come from in D&D, and that's like singing something and singing the actual true names of items is what invoked magic in Welsh mythology.
Oh, totally, yeah, and and Merlin came from Welsh mythology originally, and the Mabinogi, which is an amazing book too. That if you haven't read it, it's pretty much the story of Merlin in the sense of all those tales of the Welsh like bards.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you think that your pretty extensive knowledge, I had no clue actually, Holly, that you had a degree in medieval studies, but do you think that helps you when it comes to coming up with character concepts for D&D?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like if there is nothing better that I could have done with this degree than like D&D and writing. Like it's helped my writing immensely over the years, and it's helped me, come up with ideas and come up with characters and spells, and I've gotten away with shit in our game thanks to my medieval studies knowledge.
So what was an example of that?
So we were stuck in Castle Ravenloft in the crypt, and we were at what's that one saint, whatever, some important Lathander saint lady. I think she's the one missing the leg. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know. I'll find it.
Yeah, in one of the tombs, we were in there, and Dieth was cursed with this horrible dark power spell, and Markovia, thank you, chat. Yeah, Saint Markovia. Yeah. And we were stuck in there, and her ashes were just like there in a pile, and I was like, oh, I know what to do with you reliquary body part. That's super powerful. And so Strix was just like we got to fix this. Like we have to cure Dieth of this terrible illness. So she took Paulton's wine and poured some wine into a potion of to represent like blood, and then poured the ashes into it and just shook it up and then just gave it to him. And Chris being the all-knowing, intelligent, super smart, wonderful person he is, was like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're just making this like reliquary potion, and Strix made Dieth drink it, and he got better. He got cured.
That's awesome.
That's like being a great DM is embracing your character's ingenuity. Like if if you're making that kind of effort, man, throw them a bone.
Yeah, exactly. I think Strix was going to make him snort it first, and then she made it into a potion.
Probably a better choice for his physical constitution.
I think Chris would have taken that into a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is really good advice for both players and dungeon masters. This is a game that we're playing, so play along. Like that play along aspect is really important. But yeah, I have a degree actually in religious studies, and I find out that
very similar.
Yeah, I find out that a lot of what that goes into impacts my game on a continual basis. So any of the homebrew worlds or campaigns or anything that I've run over the years really has a pretty strong, deity pantheon or lack thereof, kind of like Eberron does. I really like what Eberron does with deities. But yeah, I think that it's an incredible game that we have where all these world experiences, since it is this role-playing game, it is trying to simulate in the best parts of what's going on in our lives, and it can help us play that. All right, we've got about 5 minutes.
What are we possibly going to talk about?
I have no idea. What could we possibly talk about in 5 minutes? Do you have anything else to teach us, Holly, before we move on?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure we weren't cutting you off from anything.
No,
here.
I just had some of my books here and was just telling you guys about all the.
All right,
stuff,
chat.
so.
If you have any questions, we might be able to get to one more of those before we scoot here. In the
Chris Strahd, by the way, is an amazing adventure. So if you have not checked it out, you should check it out. Chris Perkins really carried Ravenloft forward. And
you can tell how much he loves it and how much he loves to torture others.
If you love Ravenloft, you will love it after you read it. And if you survive, you will become a fan of Ravenloft.
Yeah.
I just worked on the character last night, an animated piece of armor who has a little werewolf toy. Who escapes Ravenloft, because I just love that world.
Yeah.
And better yet, go back and watch the episodes of Dice Camera Action.
Yeah,
I actually watch. So
see what happens.
I don't get to watch all the time because there are so many shows these days, and
you seem to be making some kind of app or website.
Yeah, there's like this whole job thing and family thing and all that.
Weird.
But it's like I do remember that during the really hot and heavy part of Curse of Strahd, when you guys were actually in the castle, I watched a run of 12 or 13 episodes like in a row because I just couldn't leave it. And then I think I ended with that season, and then didn't maybe come back there. But it is an incredibly great run, and to see Chris run Strahd and everything else, it's amazing.
Chris's Strahd is terrifying.
Yeah. And then Sam Witwer comes in and guests a couple
as
of
Mordenkainen,
times. Yeah, it's really great stuff. So definitely go watch that. So we had a question. This one's good. Are the magic symbols that Strix is using on her staff and elsewhere, are those inspired by anything from history?
Yes. So some of them on there are actually alchemy symbols. And I believe they're the ones for air and maybe earth or water, something like that. And the one in the center is made up. The other ones are made up. But a couple of them, they're inspired by alchemy symbols and by a lot of the symbols in this necromancy manual. So if you actually look at some of these in this Forbidden Rites book, this is actually what has inspired a lot of my symbols on a lot of the stuff that I use. So I've actually used this certain book for most of those. You can even see some more there. So,
wow.
Yeah. So most of the symbols that I have created are inspired or directly from like primary historical sources.
It's interesting that there's a lot of Nordic runes in there as well. It's like they got a hodgepodge from different sources back then.
Yeah, well, this is a German manuscript, so this person could have had all kinds of access to who knows,
Oh yeah, the Vikings were, they were everywhere. So
yeah.
So we got another question that is a really, really good one. That will kind of transition in you being able to talk about yourself a little bit more here, Holly. What do you stream on your channel?
On my channel, I stream a couple different things. When I'm not playing D&D on the D&D channel, which is a lot. I have 3 games on the D&D channel. I usually stream games, so I'll play like Stardew Valley or something fun. And I also do a mental health stream on Mondays where we just like sit and drink tea and chat about mental health. So I try to mix it up a bit. I used to do a lot of art streams. I haven't done those recently, but who knows? And I also play Stardew Valley with Blue Jay on Wednesdays. And then I have Hell's Bells on Sunday, which is another D&D show. And then I have Birdcage on Thursday.
So wait, how many D&D shows are you actually in at this point in time?
3.
Okay. And those are just the shows. Do you play any personal games, or is it all streamed stuff?
No, I wish I played personal games. It's all streamed. Right now, it's all streamed. I just can't. I've been trying to level in World of Warcraft personally, so that's what I've been doing.
So you're in with the new expansion, because I think people will be interested.
How are you liking that, by the way?
It's super cool. So my main is an undead warlock. Again, I've always played undead warlocks. But I love Kultiris. Oh my god, there's stick animals with skulls. And so I had to make an alliance character so that I could unlock them so I could be a Kultiran druid so that I could have a stick skull bird as a flying mount because it looks so cool.
Wow, that's incredible. So
Yeah.
you said you had to switch to alliance though. Were you formerly
No, I have an alt. My main is horde, and then
Okay.
I just have an alt on alliance.
for the
that I've
horde? I
been-
was making sure
Yeah,
that you were
yeah,
you were in the right
I
there.
have to go Death Knight, so
yeah. No, and my undead warlock is my absolute main. She's my favorite, and I've made her look like Strix, and she has the green fire, the warlock green fire, so it's pretty sweet.
Wow.
But yeah, but I had to make an alt on alliance because I really, really want the Kultiran druid, just because the aesthetic is so cool.
Very cool. What level are you?
I'm only 113 right now. I
Okay.
haven't even gotten to 120 yet,
Yeah,
but I'm
you're-
kind of taking my time. So
I was about to say you need to try a little bit harder.
yes, packs, like all these things, like Holly, you need to get playing WoW.
No, I hope you have fun. I think that is all the time that we have for today.
Holly,
Holly-
thank you so much.
Yeah, you are incredible. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you
joining
guys for
us.
having me, as always.
This was really interesting and was not expecting the pigeon part. So I'm going to have to, I will literally go back and watch. I normally don't even watch these, but it's like I will go back and watch because I want to see the pigeon again. And
Watch the show.
I definitely need to see the pigeon in pants at some point. So please
Yes.
be sure
Well,
to
when
post that everywhere.
when he gets his D&D pants,
Yes.
there'll be pictures. Don't worry.
Perfect. That is amazing. Thank you all for joining us today, viewers out there. Thanks a lot. Thanks for
Bye, everyone.
joining us in chat. And next week, join us because it is the last Wednesday of the month. It will be the development update, so we'll talk about everything that's been happening with D&D Beyond, and we will cover the short-term roadmap, and you guys can ask all the questions that you want to of me, and I will answer as many as I can possibly get to. Thanks. Have a good one.
Bye.